Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, we did indeed win a Connie Award last year, so thank you for mentioning that. My name's Sion Wynn-Jones. I run the product team at YouView. I'm going to give you my perspective on some of the developments in the industry and kind of bring them back to the user experience and being the discovery platform of choice. So, YouView is a joint venture. We're owned by the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, tech service provider, Arqiva, and BT and TalkTalk, two of the big four ISPs in the UK. So we offer a TV service. We have all the fantastic content from our shareholders, and we deliver over IP and DTT, and it's complemented by other over-the-top services such as Netflix and Now TV. You can get us as a part of a pay TV pack on BT TV, TalkTalk TV, and via retail, we've been integrated into Sony Bravia TVs since 2015, and you can even buy a digital PVR from all good leading electronic retailers via Humax. So, our vision has always been to provide great content to the users. We're a super aggregator. We're very much want to deliver the best content to the UK households. That's very much at the heart of what we do, allowing users to watch live, watch on demand, or binge as they see fit. As you can see, we offer multi-screen services here, and I should actually say multi-device services. We have an Amazon Alexa there. We've recently been in trials with Amazon to see how voice can control the experience on the TV service. So we are powered by a cloud platform which has almost 400 billion data points coming across it every day, and really gives us deep data capabilities. So looking forward, what's next? I'm going to talk a little bit about the connected home. I'm going to talk a little bit about voice and personalizing the experience. So the connected home, it's already here. Its growth has been exponential over the last 5 years, and it's interesting to look at the competitive market landscape. We've got Google and Amazon vying to own the home, and it's also interesting to see you've got the ISPs who own the pipes into the homes, kind of at a disadvantage. They don't know very much about the users in the home in comparison to Amazon and Google, who've very much got data as a part of their DNA. It's also relevant to mention that the BBC Director General, in a recent speech, mentioned the threat of Amazon and Google and the West Coast giants, FANG as they're becoming referred to. And the threat is really about disintermediating their content. So, TV is right at the heart of the connected home. We have an emotional relationship with our TV service. It's about entertainment and relaxation. It's not a thermostat or a light switch. It's a data pool of rich tastes, preferences, and behaviors. And our goal as the best place to find great content in the context of the connected home means making the tech human, relatable, and easy to interact with. I mentioned the 400 million data points coming from our cloud backend. This really does give us the insights on these household behaviors to power and shape the connected home of the future. And how do we envisage doing that? Well, we envisage working with some of these tech giants from the West Coast. We believe in partnerships, either as bringing them on board our YouView platform to get even more great content to our users, or indeed as partners for voice, as we're exploring with Amazon at the moment, or even as a platform to extend the YouView experience onto other screens. So a little bit about voice. Is it the next new frontier? It's certainly hotly contended, and we can see anyone that went to Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas this year will have seen the plethora of advertising from Google, estimated to be $50 million. I don't know about that. And the year before, it was Amazon. So it's hotly contended. And from the trial that we've been conducting with Amazon and the Alexa product suite, we can see two key benefits, or grouped into two key areas. So there's the quick, simple tasks, tune to a channel, that kind of thing, users love. And where it can provide a lot more value is the more complex, heavy lifting tasks, where typically you might have to click through a few menus to get to some content to see on screen. The trial has helped us figure out our role in all this. It has helped us figure out and allay some of the concerns that our shareholders have around disintermediating content, because we're taking the YouView paradigm framework that our shareholders are comfortable with and bringing it onto voice. So that gives them a huge amount of comfort that content will be surfaced in a way that is appropriate for them. And in terms of Amazon and Google, we're a good partner for them as well. We understand the complexities of the UK market, and I think it is more complex than most. And we understand the needs of our shareholders and the prominence that needs respecting, particularly with the public service broadcasters. So we're very useful, equally useful partners for them as well. Okay, so now personalizing the experience. In a post-Netflix world, or a world where we're familiar with using over-the-top services, our behaviors have changed. We expect personalization, and our user research shows it's not just the younger audiences that expect this, it's pretty much across the board. So what does personalization mean? For me, it means getting users to content they're already engaged with, and also getting users to content that they may well want to engage with or enjoy, ideally with minimal effort. So I'm going to tackle that first bucket first of all. So how do you get users to content they're already engaged with? Well, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a bit longer, you might say, well, the lion's share of the viewing is on the main TV screen. Therefore, we can disregard all the viewing on all the other screens. That's no longer the case. Sure, the lion's share of the viewing is still on the main TV service at plus 80% or so. However, a significant proportion happens away from the main TV screen. So what we need to do is build up a good picture of what's being viewed on the main screen and away from it, so that we can present the content to the users that they're already engaged with, whether it's resuming an episode from something, whether it's teeing up the next episode, or a film or something they've favorited. So how can you do that? I think there's really two approaches. You can either say, well, let's ensure users don't go anywhere else to watch their content. We are that source of truth. We have the knowledge of what they watch on all screens, and we can give it to them. We can present the content to them on any screen. I think that's becoming an outdated model, and we've seen more recently with Sky and their announcement about bringing Netflix onto their platform, they're moving away from this. So the other approach is an approach where we get our identity of the platform to work with identities of others on the platform, so the other content partners. And as a super aggregator, this is a model that we very much are in favor of. So we can link our identity on the main TV service with the content providers. An example being, on a Sunday night, you might pick up the iPad and start watching the latest BBC drama. And then on Monday evening, you turn on the main TV service. Being able to tee that up so the user can just resume where they left off is really important. And we kind of come from a position of strength on this. We have a fantastic visibility of what gets viewed on our service. We have across linear TV, whether it's DTT or IP delivered, across on-demand and across recordings. So the logical next step is to do this tech linking or synchronization with the content partners, so that we can get this full visibility and present the right content to the users on the main screen. And vice versa, the content on other screens can be presented that they've watched on the main screen as well. Okay, so that's about content users are currently enjoying. What about content that you think they're going to enjoy? This is content discovery, recommendations, that kind of thing. So in the living room, I would say it's really important to tailor the content to the people that's watching at that moment in time. I mean, it's quite a common problem that you may spend 20 minutes looking for something to watch, and you can't agree. You can't agree that compromise. Really, there's a Venn diagram of content there, and you want to be able to surface that to the users so they can not waste time squabbling about what to watch. So how can you do this? Well, there's one or two approaches I can think of. So one of them, I'll just move on to the next slide, sorry. One of them would be to get users to say who's watching, kind of clocking in, clocking out. We've seen that users don't really like to do that. There are other methods similar, but without them having to manually log in or log out, whereby we saw something at CES this year actually, which is kind of a wide lens camera that sits below the TV, and it kind of it's got facial recognition, it recognizes who's in the room and can start to tailor results accordingly. So that's interesting. Not sure the users would love a camera sitting below their TV recording all this. What we prefer is another approach, which is around inference. So using machine learning to present content there. At the very least, it needs to be based on the consumption of content in the home and also on the other screens. But we want to augment that with other data points. We're working at the moment on a machine learning proof of concept, which is hugely successful and exciting. And where we want to take this is we want to look at not just what's being watched, but habits. When is content watched? What time of day? What day in the week? What week in the month, etc., that kind of thing. And then take it one step further, and things that we're looking at is leveraging other devices in the home. So there are voice assistants out there. Can we leverage these? Sure, they're not foolproof, but if we've got voice identity enabled on these devices, we can get a good sense of who's in the room and start to surface content. So that's another data point that can be put into the machine learning. And then finally, we're exploring something called proximity detection. So using the Bluetooth capability on a mobile phone to work out who's near the TV. Again, not foolproof in its own right, but it helps build up a picture as another data point to put into machine learning and help us understand who's watching. And ideally, we can surface the right recommendations and avoid all that squabbling I was talking about when there's more than one person in the room. Okay, the last point I wanted to make is probably not a user-centric one, and maybe sometimes it's seen as a bit of an elephant in the room, but it's around strategic partnerships with content partners, and for us that means our shareholders. So doing personalization in a way that respects prominence and prominence rules is important. They don't sit easily together, they really don't, and that's why it's important to have a great product and a product design team to be creative about how we can get these two things to work together. So that's what we're striving to do at the moment. And the last point is being able to showcase content. Jason mentioned earlier, it's important to give content partners the opportunity to show the latest content, and that isn't something that we should disregard. However, we can improve it and make it more relevant by basing it on the consumption profiles of the households. So that's pretty much it from me. Summing up the key points. So the connected home brings with it a whole load of new entrants into the market that are very big, and it's now even more important to be the best way to discover great content, which is our strapline. And leveraging our data platform and machine learning to make the experience more personal, leveraging a good and effective identity model, and ensuring discovery frameworks remain friendly for strategic content partners. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? If not, I've got one for you about the voice. How comfortable are your various partners with the concept of partnering with one or more of these voice skills?
Well, it's true. We had a few discussions before we went into the trial, but one of the main reasons of doing the trial is to understand how it all works and what our role can be in it. And what we've seen since doing the trial is our shareholders are happy with what's going on, and actually have become big supporters of it. So that's good. And what it's proved, as I mentioned, we can take that paradigm of YouView and put it onto voice, and it operates in the same framework. So everything that we've negotiated or discussed to arrive at search and discovery experience, we can then port that onto voice and give comfort to our shareholders.
So would that be your own voice, or are you going to work with third parties? And if so, would you work on a privileged basis with one of them, or would you have to do it on an open access basis to anyone that wanted to come and work with you?
I don't think we would want to restrict it to one. I don't think that's a wise strategy. I think you know, both Google and Amazon have got big parts to play in that, and we're keen to work with both of them on that.
And is there a concern that the voice box, the smart speaker in the room is a sort of a Trojan horse, and you could be disintermediated in any case?
That's a possibility. Now, that's why we've gone into the trials to find out. And I don't think that's a reality. And as long as we use the YouView framework that I just mentioned, then we'll certainly protect that disintermediation from happening.
Great. Okay, thanks very much. Well, watch this space and listen out for more.
Thank you.
Thank you.